Hi, it's Mark Topley here from the CSR Coach. Hope you're doing well today. Here's just 3 tips for you on if you are trying to get your team now to work from home, whether they are remote working, whether they are furloughed, whatever. You've got a team that you need to hold together during this time, and so I'm going to do 2 videos, this one on how to lead and then some tips on how to actually work from home if that's what you're doing. So the first thing is the principles that you need to work to. It's very different working from home. There are added challenges that you're not going to get in a workplace. The first thing is to make sure that expectations are clear on both sides. You know, what are you expecting people to do while they're at home? When are you expecting them to be available? Make that really explicit and clear, and also tell them how you're going to communicate with them. Try not to do it through text message, especially out of work time. Try and do it through email or a phone call at an agreed time. Have flexibility, trust people to get on with the work that you've asked them to do, and manage outcomes, not the methods that they use. If somebody chooses to work from 10 o'clock at night till 2 o'clock in the morning but gets the work done, that's absolutely fine. And encourage people to have self-care, whatever that looks like for them. It's really important during these kind of situations that we recognise that we're in this for a number of weeks. So act like this is the new normal and make sure that you are demarking time and encouraging your team to demark the time between home and work, and that the weekends are off, the evenings are off. When you're at work, you're at work, even if it's just in the same physical space. Second thing, some nuts and bolts of how to make it work. Communicate more and not less, and that means having a meeting structure in place. It means having standing meetings, assuming that you're going to have things that you need to talk about, but not just the formal things, but also informal. Some teams are having a virtual coffee morning every morning, just sitting there with a cup of coffee, going over the news of the day, what's happening, but just staying in touch, because those bonds that you would normally form by just hanging around and bumping into each other every day, they're not going to be there unless you make them happen. So make sure those sorts of things are happening as well. And then finally, have some rules in place for how you're going to do this. Some standard operating procedures for availability, when you're expecting people to respond and not respond. Establish some protocols of what you're going to use for what kind of communication. You might be using email, Slack, other kinds of chat mechanisms, and just make sure that there's different types of messages that go through those are all carefully defined. Something that gets misunderstood a lot when you go to written communication rather than face-to-face is tone of voice. You lose over 90% of the meaning of what we say when we go to words rather than onto video or face-to-face. So establish some rules about how you're going to do that. What does an exclamation mark mean? Are you angry or are you excited? Use emojis, those kind of things. Get that all done. And then when you're having your sort of meetings, whether they're the virtual ones, make sure you establish some rules about people not checking social media, not trying to multitask, not trying to do more things, but giving their full attention to the call in the same way as they would as if they were sitting in there with a room with you. So I hope that helps. Just a few tips on getting your team working from home. There's more information on the COVID response information that I put on my website, and just go to marktopley.co.uk/purpose and you'll find access to all those resources. Thanks for watching.